In the end, you are going to want to be surrounded by the people you love doing the things you enjoy, and on a life journey that makes you smile when you think about the places you went and the things you did. Tiny houses open up the freedom to do all of these things not just later on, but now. This is a quote by Ryan Mitchell. My name is Esprit Ariola, and I will be persuading you that tiny houses are much better over apartments based on my experience with some research I've done. In persuading my audience that tiny houses are much better over apartments, I'll discuss the following. Tiny houses are less expensive, you can personalize them down to the smallest detail, and they can be portable. First, let's discuss how tiny houses are less expensive. According to Lisa T. Alexander in the article Community and Property Lessons from Tiny Homes, published in 2019, she reports that housing insecurity and unaffordability are growing problems in the United States. Soaring housing costs are largely to blame, with the national median rent rising 20% faster than overall inflation in 1990 through 2016, and the median home price 41% faster. With this being said, little by little, it's getting harder for people who want to have a small place for a reasonable price. According to Maria Fredgard in the article 7 Reasons People Choose Tiny Houses Over Apartments, published October 2019, she states that while there are apartments for sale, most often you will have to rent an apartment. This means that you will be having to deal with either a landlord or a property manager. You will pay a monthly rental fee as well as renters insurance, as well as other hidden fees. The one major perk of owning a tiny house is that you are responsible for your own property. Instead of paying rent and filling someone else's pockets, you are investing in your future. Even if you have to finance your home through a bank, you will still be the owner. The freedom of having your own house is priceless. Owning a tiny house helps invest in your future, whereas renting an apartment doesn't allow you to properly save. Now that I discussed how tiny houses are less expensive, I'll discuss how you have the ability to personalize tiny houses down to the smallest detail. According to Nina Patel in the article Tiny House, Big Benefits, Freedom from a Mortgage and Stuff, published in June 25th, 2015, she reports that America is having a big love affair with tiny houses. There are television shows, Tiny House Nation and Tiny House Hunters. There are movies, Tiny, a story about living small, and Small is Beautiful, a tiny house documentary. Pinterest has more than 900 boards devoted to tiny houses, and design website House showcases thousands of tiny house photos. This goes to show that there are so many opportunities for you to get inspiration, and this is something you can truly do on your own as well. According to Mary Murphy, in the article Tiny Houses as Appropriate Technology, published in 2014, she states that, in my experience, people love tiny houses because they are beautiful expressions of their owners' aesthetic and values. Many people take the time to make their tiny houses beautiful, and the small size amplifies the effect of their efforts by drawing the eye to all the thoughtful touches. The excitement of beauty and empowerment can prove to be such a motivation for lifestyle change. People feel free to experiment, especially when it comes to making their living area beautiful and cozy. Now that I discussed how you have the ability to personalize tiny houses down to the smallest detail, I'll discuss how they can be portable. Mary Murphy also states that transportation costs hinge on the location of one's home, and the tiny house dwellers have the option to relocate their house as their transportation needs to change. According to Anne Wyatt in the article Tiny Houses, Niche or Noteworthy, published in 2016, she states that while moving homes isn't easy, many tiny tiny homes are constructed on wheeled trailers. This appeals to homebodies who dream of going places, as with other manufactured housing, placement can become challenging. These two statements show that tiny houses can help make your lifestyle easier by allowing you to take your home wherever you need to go instead of having to repurchase property or search for another place when you need to relocate where you live. In conclusion, in persuading my audience that tiny houses are much better over apartments, I discussed the following. Tiny houses are less expensive, you can personalize them down to the smallest detail, and they can be portable. Let me leave you to ponder on this quote again by Ryan Mitchell. In the end, you are going to want to be surrounded by the people you love, doing the things you enjoy, and on a life journey that makes you smile when you think about the places you went and the things you did. Tiny houses open up the freedom to do all of these things, not just later on, but now. I hope that you found my speech useful and persuaded you to invest in a tiny house of your own.